Zimmerman.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Hunting season is upon us. Wild animals of all types will be sought out by many an avid hunter. Some of these animals are large. Coyotes, bobcats, white-tailed deer, even black bear. But there's one wild animal out there that receives very little hunting pressure. This varmint is the North American squirrel. A member of the rodent family, tree rats, as I like to call them. I love to squirrel hunt. It's a very simple way to hunt. It doesn't require a lot of preparation. You don't have to go scouting for game before the season starts. You don't have to build a huge tree stand. You don't have to sight in your high-powered rifle. All you need are a few simple items and a small patch of woods. I carry everything I need in my hunting fanny pack. Your first consideration should be your weapon. Some hunters choose to hunt squirrels with a .22. It uses a cartridge of this size. Now, I can admire the sport of hunting with a .22, but those guys usually only bag a squirrel or two. I, myself, prefer the 12-gauge shotgun. When you miss a squirrel on the first shot, it will go timbering, running through the trees faster than you and I can run on the ground. All the .22 hunter can do is sit there and look. But I, with my 12-gauge, I get the thrill of unloading on that squirrel as I lead it as if I were shooting sporting clays. The 12-gauge semi-automatic shotgun is the reason you'll find a deluge of squirrels in my freezer. Mosquitoes like to hunt also. They hunt me. So I never go in the woods without my thermocell. This is a device that uses a small butane flame across a little magic patch. Somehow it creates an invisible force field around you that mosquitoes will not penetrate. Works very well. And just in case I have a failure of my thermocell, I have a backup plan. 100% DEET. Smelly, sticky, but effective. There's one other thing that you'll never, one very important piece of equipment that you'll never want to forget. If you see a squirrel hunter exit the woods wearing only one sock, you'll know what he forgot. Our hunting trip begins at daybreak. The air is crisp and cold. There's a heavy dew that sets upon the woods. I enter the woods alone. It's a very peaceful and solitude time. I walk very quietly and very slowly as I stalk my prey, looking and, more importantly, listening to the sounds that a squirrel makes. I may hear one barking in the distance. Or perhaps I'll hear one chattering as he's chasing a potential mate. But more often than not, all you hear are small pieces of nuts falling through the leaves as a squirrel feeds high atop a tree. As the morning warms, the dew condenses. It also falls through the leaves, mimicking the sound of a squirrel feeding. Patience is what it takes when you squirrel hunt. You may be standing under a tree where a squirrel is feeding. It may drop nuts on you for 30 minutes before you can pinpoint its location. There's a tremendous amount of places to hide in a 100-foot tall oak tree full of trees, or full of leaves. I always squirrel hunt with my dad, my brother, and one or both of my boys. When I talk to other hunters about squirrel hunting, they tell me about the fond memories they had of hunting when they were a child with their dad, their grandfather, perhaps their siblings. They say they long to go squirrel hunting again and revive those memories. I always invite them to join us, but none have ever done that. They're missing out on one of life's greatest opportunities to bond. The hunt will usually conclude around 10 or 11 a.m. We'll all meet back at the truck, and inevitably you'll ask, or you'll be asked, well, how many did you kill? Well, how many did you get? There's a little sense of pride that takes place when you've outgunned your dad or your brother. But the buttons on your shirt really get tight when one of your boys has outgunned everyone. Mr. Toastmaster.